What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Hands-On channel. I'm glad you stopped by. Today, we're going to talk about a whole bunch of different, pretty serious topics. I could make a nightly news show. So much stuff is going on all the time that I could actually, and I've thought about doing a nightly news broadcast, but I think where I can provide you guys value is my ability to look at things long-term and see patterns. And everything we're going to talk about today is ringing massive alarm bells in my mind. And so I wanted to talk to you guys about that and some of the patterns that I'm picking up on. And, as they say, history repeats itself over and over and over. Sometimes it doesn't take very long for that history to repeat itself. So because we're going to be talking about the WHO and Davos and Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab's and all these other people, I'm going to need my anti-communist glasses so I can see through this propaganda that they're pushing out right now. I'm sure that you guys have seen or heard or at least seen something on Twitter or some of the social media places you may go to about this new thing, Disease X. Everyone's talking about it. And what is it? Why are they talking about it? Well, the head commie in charge of the WHO, I can't remember his name, Tedros, Telejandro, whatever his damn commie name is, the leader of the WHO, has been talking all about how Disease X is the next big thing, and we got to get ready, we got to get prepared, we got to do all these things and take all these proactive approaches so that we can clamp down before it's even a problem. I mean, have we heard this kind of talk before? Yes, we have. And we've seen some things, and we've seen a little bit of pushback where people just, during the COVID lockdowns and stuff, people got tired of that crap and they were like, hey, you ain't locking me down anymore. Screw you guys, I'm going to work. Screw you guys, I'm not wearing a mask at a certain point. And screw you guys, I'm not taking the thing that still to this day, if I talk about it, will get me banned on YouTube. So that tells you how much power the pharmaceutical companies have over your social media platforms and stuff like this. So anyway, let's get into these headlines. Disease X is coming, and with it, the next global pandemic, scientists warn. And yes, they are scientists, but they're selected, perfect scientists that are going to say the exact thing that the WHO wants to hear. So they're handpicking these people and giving them, the grants and the different things for their scientific studies to find out the data that they want to, the conclusions that they want to come to. That's what they're searching for when they give these grants and things like that. They're searching for a certain set of conclusions. Just like you hear all the time, 99% of the scientists agree that global warming is caused by man and blah, blah, blah. And it's irreversible and on and on and on. But yet they want to do all these things to control you. Because at the end of the day, that's what these people are all about. It's not about saving you or protecting you from the next disease. It's not even about protecting themselves. It's about seizing your liberty, taking away your rights, taking away your property. You will own nothing and you will be happy, according to these people. So remember who they are. The WEF, the WHO, and globalist elites to discuss Disease X at upcoming summit. Well, that summit's been going on for the past few days. They're doing it right now. This headline was one that I grabbed like a week or two ago. They're predicting a pandemic 20 times more deadly than COVID-19. So that sounds pretty serious, right? I mean, COVID wasn't nearly as deadly as they originally predicted. So, I wonder how much they'd have to back off of this. But at the same time, some people did die from COVID through other people that we know. Several older people, it seemed to really affect the elderly community. It was targeted. It appears to be targeted at them, at least for death. They were the ones that died at the highest rates, and other people that had compromised immune systems. So there were people that died of COVID. And there were people that died of other things as well that are not being talked about today. And it's very, very unusual. When you look at United States history on vaccines, I did a whole video about it, but I think it got pulled down. So I better be careful of what I say. But you can look at past vaccines, and when they started having suspicious, what can I say that won't get me in trouble? Suspicious side effects, let's say that, up to the worst kind of side effect, pushing up daisies. So anyway, the United States in the past, it didn't take very many, like 15 or 20 people started pushing up daisies, and then they ceased the program. They stopped it. But anyway, you guys can go do your own research on that. If you know what I'm stepping in, you know. I can't say much about it because YouTube will swat me down. So I'm not even allowed to talk about it. That's how Orwellian things have become. So let's move on. What is Disease X? The right-wing circles are saying and slamming it as a hypothetical pandemic. And of course they are. They're suspicious of it. Why would they be suspicious? Why am I so suspicious? I said early on, I'm looking for patterns. What is the pattern that I'm seeing here with this Disease X and the way they're sensationalizing it in the media all of a sudden? It's Event 201. Do you remember the Event 201 pandemic exercise that they held? And it was hosted by Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security in a partnership with the World Economic Forum and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation on October 18th, 2019. So we're talking months before the first cases of COVID were discovered in China, and they started locking down and freaking out. You remember all that stuff? Patterns. I'm seeing patterns here, guys. Prepare yourselves. Do what you need to do. Keep yourself in tip-top shape. Be in good shape. Another thing that I noticed back when COVID was going on, it was killing a lot more people that were morbidly obese than normal, healthy, fit people. So, keep that in your mind. We all need to lose a few pounds, including myself. So we all need to do that so that, whatever this next one is, that could be 20 times more deadly, according to the WHO commies. What do? Do you trust them? Do you doubt them for 1 second that there is something that they have in the back shelf at the Wuhan laboratory or some other unknown laboratory around the world in some third world country you can't even point to on a map? That's how it is, guys. They could release something like this. And when I say they, I mean these global elitists who want to control and dominate everything on Earth. They wake up in the morning like Pinky in the Brain and they try to figure out what they can do today to take over the world. They exist. These kinds of people are out there. I know it's hard for normal people, normies like you and me to think like this, but they're out there. And they've got, billions and in some cases trillions and unlimited resources that they can throw towards their objectives. So, I'm saying all this stuff, what's this deadly Disease X and all this? And I'm seeing, when I typed in Disease X, I don't use Google, but whatever search engine I'm using now, when I typed it in, it was 3 or 4 pages of nothing but Disease X headlines. Sensational here, sensational there. Look out. Oh, the scientists are warning. The mainstream media here in the United States, they're not telling you that, it's WEF, WHO, globalists, global elitists, who were the ones that originally came up with this term, Disease X, back in, I believe, 2017. So this has been around for a while. It just means that unknown disease, that, unknown variable that we can't see coming. We don't know exactly what it is, but I argue they do know exactly what it is. This is Event 201, Part 2. Event 202, I guess we'll call it. So why should you be concerned about this, Disease X? Because I saw this article a few days ago. China creates a brain virus with 100% kill rate in mice. They say there is a crossover to human beings. It's possible for it to cross over to human beings. They don't know yet that it's 100% kill rate in humans, but it very well could be. 100% kill rate. It's a brain virus. Listen to this. A new report claims Chinese scientists have developed a coronavirus strain that attacks the brain and has a 100% kill rate in mice used to experiment with the virus. So, yay! Yay, it's for science! I'm sure they're only doing it to watch out for Disease X, don't you know? So we got to go and invent all of these fucking Pandora box diseases that we can never put back in the bottle, so that we can come up with our vaccines and stuff like this and make billions and billions of dollars. And who knows what kind of long-term side effects some people will be having from those things. So anyway, enough about that. Again, I have to be careful talking about this stuff because the commies that run YouTube are real. So I know a lot of you are thinking, Davos, who cares what a bunch of rich elitists are talking about over there. But they're talking about all these things that are really important here in the United States. And the reason they're so important is because I had to look this up. Someone else, I think it was Anomaly, actually, on YouTube. I saw in his video clip, he was talking about that thing that I'd never heard of, the Disease X Act of 2023. And what's that guy's name? The guy with the eye patch, Crenshaw. His name was on the bill. So immediately I know it's coming from a place that's no good, because I don't think that Crenshaw guy is a good guy. He's a deep state, yeah, he's got an R by his name, but he's a deep state, pro-WEF, pro-WHO, pro-globalism rhino. And in my opinion, he should be, recalled or run out of office or something, because he's not, at least the kind of conservative principles that I'd like to see are not being displayed by people like Crenshaw. So anyway, they passed this, or no, they didn't pass it, but they proposed this House Resolution 3832 in the 118th Congress. And they did this back in June of 2023. So our own Congress has been talking about this Disease X Act even before the WEF and Davos. So again, I'm looking for these little connections. Maybe it's totally unrelated, but I doubt it. They didn't craft this name themselves. They've been listening to the WEF, who originally came up with the idea, the concept of a Disease X. Because don't you know, they're always looking out for you. So they have to take away your freedom so they can protect you. Don't buy it, guys. That's what they're selling. So moving on to some other news. First of all, before we move on from this topic, let me know down in the comments, what do you think about this new 100 times more deadly brain virus that China has crafted up? Do you think people in other countries should be allowed to do that, even under the name of science? Or should that be strictly banned, like on a world level? That's what I think. Now, I don't know who's going to enforce that, but it would have to be a voluntary action by all the different nations. Of course, you know who the number one opponent of that would be: the United States, because we've got all these biolabs all over the place, just like the 17 that they found in Ukraine, then they denied, and then they finally admitted were there after enough time went by. I mean, what's the meme that's going around? The difference between a conspiracy theory and the truth is about 2 weeks. That's getting to be more and more real every day. So I want to move on now, but let me know down in the comments what you guys think about all this stuff. Is it possible that something like this could be happening again? Again, keep in mind, we're in an election year. It doesn't look good for Biden. He's going to have to do some out of the ordinary things, I would argue, if he wants to hold power. Would you put it past people like, Biden and the people behind Biden, the ones pulling his strings, to do something like this, release some sort of virus just so they can have more mail-in ballots, all this stuff that we had, a repeat of the COVID lockdowns and all that stuff? I mean, I think they would. I think they're foaming at the bit to do something like that. So let me know what you think. Anyway, moving on to other news, and this is really important stuff as well. So I saw this 3 or 4 days ago. Report: Army staff baffled by sharp decline in white recruits in the last 5 years. And you should go read the full article. Anytime I mention one of these headlines, we don't have time to go in full depth here, but go read these full articles. This one was from the Gateway Pundit. Several of these are. They're a really good news source. One of the last that I'm aware of. But anyway, Army staff is baffled by the sharp decline in white recruits in the last 5 years. Well, let's see. What's different about the last 5 years? Besides, obviously the people, you might argue, and the, Gen Z and the millennials, they're different. They're a different cut than the ones in previous generations, for the most part. Now, there are some good ones in every generation and bad ones in every generation, but it seemed like to me Gen X was all on board for signing up after 9/11. A lot of people signed up that would have probably never signed up until they saw the towers fall and stuff like that. That it drew on those patriotic heartstrings, and it made a lot of people go sign up that probably wouldn't have before the towers fell. So now you don't have that. You've also got a super weak a guy with dementia. At very least, he's got like late stages Alzheimer's or something like that that's causing him to have memory problems. Well, that guy's the commander-in-chief. So who would be compelled to go sign up for that guy? Not only that, they were kicking people out for not taking the thingamajig here recently. Remember that? And then, oh, well, we couldn't meet recruitment, so we want to beg you to come back in. And some of them did come back. Some of them were like, nah, you screwed me. I found a better job. Screw you. And so they kind of screwed themselves in a big way with all that stuff, the mandates and stuff like that came from Biden, another person who, at least as far as I know, in boots on the ground, grunts, ground soldiers, mechanics, people like that are not upper brass, they don't like Biden. They don't respect him. Why would you? What is there to respect? The guy can't even walk up and down the stairs of Air Force One without tripping and falling and embarrassing himself on a national stage or pooping his pants in front of the Pope, whatever. On and on and on. Just not even being able to string a sentence together. When he's reading it off of a teleprompter, that's what's so extremely alarming. So we all know Biden has to have his handlers to keep him from getting lost on stage. All that stuff, right? It's become a joke. Well, the people in the United States that are thinking about signing up, they're seeing that and they're going, I don't know about this. They're also seeing Biden beating the drums for World War III over and over and over and getting us involved in every little skirmish around every little corner around the world and spread out to a point where we may be spread too thin, like the Roman Empire. But I don't know. Anyway, there's lots of things that you could consider. There's the wokeism that's been going on and just totally infiltrated and, not really infiltrated. It was embraced by the upper brass in the military and they brought it in and DEI training and whatever. Putting women on the front lines. I mean, in every single way, our military, the moral characteristics that were behind the people in the brass and stuff in World War II are polar opposite today. So I understand why people wouldn't want to sign up. And for them to be baffled by that is baffling to me. So let me know what you think about that down in the comments. Moving on, another way Biden's screwing us 6 ways to Sunday. Biden regime proposes new regulations and taxes on oil and gas industry. And we're, I'm in the oil field or what's left of it, and we're down to the lowest rig count that I can remember. Probably, honestly, just looking at it, I don't know this for a fact, but I bet the rig count, it's below 1,000 in the whole United States. I bet it's lower than it was at the end of the bust during the 80s. I don't know that for a fact, but it's low, man, and people ain't drilling. And why ain't they drilling? Because Biden has cut them off of all the BLM land, all of the offshore land that was accessed, federal land and was given federal leases. All that's been cut off. It's basically private land only, and only a few drilling permits are being accepted. They cut off the whole thing in Anwar, all that. So you cut our throats. You try to force us on electric vehicles, which are failing at a rapid rate around the nation right now because of these extremely cold temperatures. They may be a good idea in the long run, but they're not a good idea now. And if industry and consumers were allowed to, flesh that out over the next 5 to 10 years, and eventually the technology caught up to what gasoline vehicles can currently do, then I might be a lot more for the push towards electric vehicles, trying to promote that sort of stuff. But it has fallen so flat on its face. I saw a deal, they were calling it a Tesla graveyard up in Chicago because all these people were lined up and they couldn't charge their car and the cars were all dead. So you couldn't just sit there in a dead car because, no heat, no nothing, and it's super cold right now. So they're failing all over the place. They're just not ready for the mainstream, It would have been like when the very first automobile came out, if the president of the time would have been like, everybody's got to buy an automobile, even though, they still run on steam and coal, and, they're not very reliable, but, and you don't know how to operate it or work on it. You got to have this, though. We're mandating it. You need to buy this. We're going to give you incentives to buy this damn thing. I mean, it wouldn't have happened. It happened naturally. People went to the automobile naturally over years and years and years. And there were some holdouts that were like, no, I'll never give up my horse and buggy because it gives me a level of freedom. I don't have to stop and buy gas from your gas pump. Of course, they had to buy feed or grow feed or whatever. So it's always a trade-off, but I digress. So I want to talk to you guys in closing here about something that's a really big deal. I thought about doing a separate video, but I want to just get it all out here today. I've been seeing this deal, which I'm calling a Mexican standoff, or maybe you could call it a Texican standoff on the southern border. Finally, I mean, you know, it's not without effort, but Texas has made effort after effort after effort to put up barriers, to put up concertina wire, all this stuff, put up fences, put up things to slow down or minimize how many people are coming across the border in undesignated areas, right? Meanwhile, the federal government has been going over. I showed a video clip like a month ago where the Border Patrol pulled up in an industrial forklift and raised up the razor wire off the ground and were waving illegals in.
Caravan of around 300 migrants crossed into Eagle Pass thanks to Border Patrol agents lifting the barbed wire. The hundreds of migrants crossed in a few minutes, this being the 4th massive crossing that our cameras witnessed in the last days of October.
Undermining, literally right on camera, undermining Texas's efforts directly. So there's been this push back and forth. You know, he put up the floating barriers, they were working, and then all of a sudden Biden says, oh, that's inhumane, people are drowning, causing people to drown. You can't cause these climate migrants to drown, they just want to come here because of climate change. See, it's this lie that they're telling themselves so many times they actually believe it, but we all know it's not true. The reason that these people are coming here is it's pretty nuanced. It's multifaceted. There's lots of them that are just coming here for, you know, for seasonal work. They want to come here and go back. But there are a lot of them that are being let out of like Venezuela crazy houses and, you know, insane asylums and prisons. And, you know, I mean, it makes perfect sense if you're one of these South American third world nations and you're needing to make up a little extra money to go ahead and unload your prisoners and your mental institutions on the open borders of the United States of America. And see, I have a problem with this whole process that's going on. They're saying these people coming out of Colombia and, you know, far South America are climate refugees and they have to come to the United States and we have to grant them asylum because they're climate refugees and we got to help them, right? We're obligated to help them. But that's not true. The rules of refugees is when you leave a country, the very first country that you cross that border, you're supposed to seek asylum there. So they should be seeking asylum in Mexico or some other South American country that they come to first. But instead, the WEF, the globalists over at Davos and people like them are paying for buses to bring them up and trains and all sorts of other transportation devices. And in many cases, they're giving them debit cards with like $4 or $5 grand on it. So, I mean, yeah, they've got all the incentive in the world. Biden is standing there with his arms open saying, yeah, come here. We're going to help you in. You're not going to have to come to court until 2035. I'll be long gone by then. You can do whatever you want. Now, the Republicans in the Senate are talking about granting them like a soft amnesty. It's really not soft. It's hardcore amnesty, where the people that have already come over here, they're going to give them work visas and basically like a green card. It's unreal. It's unreal. They came here illegally, they broke the law, and then we're going to reward them by giving them amnesty. It's complete BS, and it's not what the American people want. So, showdown. Biden regime strikes back after Texas National Guard seizes control of public park in Eagle Pass. And they kicked out the Border Patrol agents. This was a couple, 2 or 3 days ago. And it pissed the DOJ and the Biden administration off like they haven't been pissed off probably up to this date. They're mad. They're smoking mad about it. And the Biden administration claims that Texas interfered with border agents as migrants were trying to cross. It was a really cold day, and I feel sorry for a lot of them. They're so desperate, they're trying to swim across that Rio Grande, and sometimes it's flowing real fast, and some kids, I guess, drowned. And the Biden administration is blaming this on the Texas National Guard and saying that Abbott and all these people are responsible. And you better believe it, they're coming with lawsuits. So it was not true, though. Those people, according to the Border Patrol agents in their own statements, were already most likely dead by the time they got there. So it really did happen. The Texas National Guard was there at the gate or whatever, and the Border Patrol showed up and said, hey, can we come check on these people? We heard there were some people in distress. And the Texas National Guard said, no, you can't come in here by order of the governor. And we've already dealt with it. They're already dead. And the Border Patrol guy was like, yeah, we figured that it was probably too late by now anyway, and, whatever, on and on. But the Biden administration has the gall to actually try to blame Texas for these people that drown. Okay? So it's heating up. This is a Mexican standoff. We have a state, a very powerful state, that they have a push for secession going on. I don't know how that stands right now, but they've talked about it in Texas several times, and they're one of the few states in the whole United States that has a powerful enough, big enough economy and enough resources, they could actually be their own country. So Biden is playing a really dangerous game of chicken with the state of Texas, because he's trampling over Texas's rights as a state to exist and protect their own border, when in fact it's the national government's job to protect the border. They're not doing it. So Texas is stepping up. Biden is saying, no, you can't do that. That's inhumane. You've drowned 2 or 3 people here. It's your fault. So this is going to get heated. I mean, I don't know if shots are actually going to be fired, or if, National Guard and Border Patrol are going to square off and actually have a shootout or anything like that. But hell, as crazy as everything is, I wouldn't be a bit surprised. I mean, it's just, when you pull and pull and pull on threads like they've been doing, eventually people will get to a breaking point. And I think Texas is there. So last story here, border showdown. Biden is saying Texas must give feds access by January 18th or else, says Biden administration. When is that? Is that tomorrow? I think it might be. Yes, by tomorrow. So by January 18th or else. What does that mean? Again, Biden is trampling over the 10th Amendment. Of course, he has no problem trampling over any of the Bill of Rights, any of the Constitution. He's not enforcing one of the stated duties given to the president, and any officer in the United States government has a duty to ensure a Republican form of government and protect the borders against invasion. Protect them against invasion. It's not happening. There's an invasion going on right now on the southern border. A lot of people have no idea what's going on. They don't care. They think that, oh, you're mean. You don't like them because they have brown skin and you have white skin. That's why that has nothing to do with that. These people are bringing a third world mentality with them. And we don't want to speed that up. In the old days, people would come here and they would assimilate to the United States of America's ways. And that's what's supposed to happen. But at some point, there's been a crossover where that's not happening anymore. They're not coming here and learning to speak English and learning to assimilate to American culture. And I'm not even saying that people can't hold on to parts of their own, old culture. My problem is not assimilating and trying to change the United States into a third world nation, which is what's going on. I mean, Haiti, Colombia, Venezuela, I mean, you name it, Cuba, on and on and on. These people are flooding over here at an alarming rate, and it has absolutely nothing to do with climate change. It has everything to do with the fact that they locked everybody down all around the world in 2019, 2020, and many of these third world nations stayed locked down a lot longer than the United States did. So these globalists, by recommending that they do all this stuff that Davos and the WEF says that they have to do, they have starved a lot of these people out of existence. They've starved a lot of them to death. So, yeah, I mean, things are bad, but it's not because of the reasons that Biden and all of his lackeys are saying. So anyway, guys, I think that's about enough for today. You can tell I'm fired up about this. I don't like it, what's going on in my country. I wish we'd see a return to, to sanity, a return to make America great. And I don't mean that just through Trump. I just mean literally make America great like it once was. And it wasn't all that long ago that it was pretty great. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about all these stories down in the comments. And you better keep prepping up, man, because it sounds like these globalists have got some big plans for 2024. Anyway, as always, I stand for liberty to the bitter end. I hope you do too.